to do eight programs in this cycle because, like if you see the DVD folders down there or albums, some I have at home have six, and some down here, most of them are eight. So we're gonna do basically eight, but some of them to use up our album cases, for DVDs, we'll just do take a couple out of there and have some in six and some in eight. That's the stage that we're in right now. And I would like to congratulate us for being in this stage. Okay, if you don't think we or it or the deserve congratulations, look around you. Look at history. That movie came out. Have most people seen that movie about?
I haven't watched it.
You haven't watched it yet? Okay, it's okay. It's about Mark Clark and Fred Hampton. It's Black Messiah. Yeah, Messiah. Or Judas and the Black Messiah.
I think that's the title. I think that's actually the title.
Yeah. Well, technically now, this may be new for everybody else, but when everybody else is thinking about Judas from the time of Jesus, right? When you mentioned Judas, that's what everybody, but we're using it in our terminology. Remember we had, on one of our flyers, we have Obama, and we have him as a Judas goat. You remember that? Okay, now I'm sure everyone knows what a Judas goat is. A Judas goat is a goat that's trained by the system, the goat keepers. And what the Judas goat do, when it's time for everybody to go to slaughter, he goes around with his little bell or whatever it is, and he collects all the goats, and he bring them into a pen. And there's a trap door down at the end. He goes out of that trap door, and because he's trained, he's too valuable, because when the other goats get big enough, he gonna go trap them too. So what he do is, when they're gonna slaughter the goats, right? They send the Judas goat out to bring them all into the pen. He got a trap door down at the end. And he goes out of that door. All the rest of them are there for slaughter. That's what they call a Judas goat. Judas is all kind of deception and technology. But in a way, we're definitely entering a new stage. That's why we've been just cruising along and we say, well, we won't do nothing today. Because we're definitely in a new stage. I may talk a little bit about it, but I'm going to kind of go over a few things for a minute. So eventually we'll be returning to California very soon. Not very, very soon, but soon. So we've had a lot of experience. I mean, it's a lot of experience. And to tell you the truth, nobody is even close to where we are. They're not even close. When you look around at the other movers, they're not anywhere, they're not even in the arena. They shouldn't be even, part of it is because of what Boss Man did in the old days. Okay, after the people watch about freedom and liberation and they say, oh, Malcolm X, he got it. Martin Luther King got it, Fred Hampton and Mark Clark got it. And Medgar Evers and them got it. I mean, this is the whole list. You just go down the list. The other people that didn't get it, they spent 40-something years in prison, and but there was no happy endings. Like everybody either joined the system, right? Like some of the people was marching and what have you. They either joined the system. A system joiner is like John Lewis. John Lewis, the poor old guy, okay, they hold him up as an icon. He was with Dr. King. He was against Imam Jamil and Stokely Carmichael and them, he was just against them. Because, see, when he was approached about Imam Jamil, he was in Congress by then. And they're saying what they did to Dr. King and y'all, well, you know who he is. He's the one y'all used to argue with all the time. Y'all was in the same org. In fact, they was leading the organization and you left. And why you think they put you in Congress and all that? You think you just accidentally there, or it's because boss man wanted you in the Congress? And just like some of those famous guys, they sent people to marry them, to marry them. The same thing with John Lewis. Cutie Pie from out in San Francisco popped up down there in Dixie. Oh, you're such a dynamic person. He's married to her. She might still be alive. That's not just being, there's a whole list of people like that. One of our favorite imams, he was kind of underground, maybe up in New York somewhere. They sent somebody down from Canada, black nationalist lady. And for long, he was married to her. And I think he got the idea, though, a few years ago, because he said when you do certain things, don't give them nothing. Do it with somebody else, Why? He had figured it out. It took him a while. It didn't take me no time, because it's just, that's nice, okay. Just like we're here now, we're here for a reason. And I'd like to think it was because of good conduct, because of good ideas, and trusting in Allah. A whole lot. I mean, big time trust. So I'm going to talk about some of the areas of trust tonight, just for a few minutes. And some of these tactics would be stealth tactics. Technically, after 1973, or even a little before that, all of the tactics were stealth tactics. When I left the United States in 1971, that was after we had established East Oakland Enterprises in Oakland, big businesses all over, young black people driving new cars, buying their own homes. And I didn't bring them, but if you remember some of the pictures, I have a picture with a white suit on, but so bad, with black trim. Of course, that's mink now, don't get me wrong. That's pre-Superfly by years. That bad mink hat and everything, okay. If you looked and you saw a year before We got the whole black jacket on, stingy brim hat, that Black Panther look. And we had to come to a conclusion. We were like now, that is 1968 going into 69. The picture is 1969 or 70 with the whites, about 1970 with the white stuff on. With the Black Panther look on, it's 2 years ahead of time. And we're looking around at the world we're living in. All the brothers, you can imagine now, by 68, they done burned just about everybody, or got them in prison, or they getting ready to go. So, and then you're there in Oakland, and there's two powerful groups there in Oakland. There's the Black Panther Party, and then there's us. And you may not believe it, because when you read the newspaper, maybe you got to make friends with some old person from Oakland, and you call them and ask them which ones was the most popular in Oakland. Was it the Black Panther Party or was Big Hank's crew? Just ask them. Just ask them. And they'll tell you, okay, when we started off, I'm not going to say that we have been ahead of the game all along, but in some ways, we got off to a good start. And it just so that all the things coming in our direction, we handle them reasonably well. Like when they passed me that thing in 1966, by 1968, I done took a vacation already, a layoff to look at things, because, stuff happening real quick. And you have to pull back, at least I did. I would credit that, in human terms, I would credit that with being here today. The ability to pull back and say, hold it, let me look at this. It's like things are happening fast. None of our movements did that. They were happening so fast. The dynamics of the time pushed them forward. And they were pretty soon in an environment that they didn't create, and they was not in control of it. The government, like all you see in any movie you see, any book you read about counterintelligence program, COINTEL program, the groups exploded. When they explode that fast, you can see what you're going to get. The government exploded the groups. The government filled them up with people. There's been periods of time when the government filled us up here, but you ain't seeing us get all crazy about it. You just say, well, there you go again. But you don't see when everybody's here and the place is packed, you don't see us, oh boy, we rolling now. Because we know who the people are. Yeah. And just to make sure, they'll build a place around the corner or open it up, and it'll stay open for over 20 years. Then they'll close it down. They'll close the place is open for over 20 years, a few blocks away. It's served its purpose. No matter what they say, it served its purpose. Right? So they get here, build up everything, build a movement in California, build it all over the country. We got 8 to 10 centers going at the same time, and we are on the way. So they would think that we think we're on the way up. We don't think no such thing. We said, boss man got his thing right. He got his mojo working. So in strategic management, we have to use strategic management under oppression, under the conditions of repression. So that's what we did. We used it. We're still here, and we're at another plateau. I won't mention the other thing, but we're at another plateau. Right now, you might as well say this is 1968 or 60. We're stepping into the future. We're stepping into the future. I mean, we've been building along these lines. But right now, and as before, we're not in no super hurry. We don't have to do nothing today or tomorrow. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to do traveling again. You know, we're going to get out, get a couple of cars,